Something I thought you guys might enjoy is just a little off-road checklist. Like, what do you want to have? You're going to go off-roading. I've done it by myself a bunch. I actually wouldn't recommend that because if you get stuck, or you get hurt, or you roll over, it's always good to have a buddy. Especially if you want to go play in the mud hole and you get stuck. It's nice to have somebody else that you can either use as a winch point or somebody else that's got a winch. But as well as somebody that, if the vehicle that you're using just the motor blows up or you can't crank it back up, then you can have some real problems. So it's always nice to have a way to, to get yourself out of those tricky situations. So rule number one, try to go with a buddy if you can. Rule number two that I recommend is have a jumper, like either a buddy with jumper cables, or I've got one of those Gulu battery chargers that I used. It's just one of those small little battery packs that you can throw on right on the battery, crank it back up. You don't need another vehicle or anything. This is the one that I used yesterday. It's charging up. It did get a little bit wet, but it's actually working. I've had this little charger, this power bank, for about 2 years. And I use it actually on this lawnmower all the time because it won't start out. The battery goes dead. So this is probably one of the better. It was almost $100. Got online. Probably one of the better investments I've made for something like this, because I use it all the time. I've worked on cars, used cars, stuff like that. And it's just really nice to have one of these around. So definitely worth the money. One other thing I want to show you guys here is on your checklist is some straps and a come along. These are just invaluable items. If you do get stuck and for some reason you're out there by yourself or your buddy is a little ways away, you can use those straps and that come along. I have used chains, but chains can break. The problem is with chains is if they do break, they can explode and you can get injured. It's just not any fun. So I'll go ahead and show you that equipment here. So this is just what the come along looks like. This one actually this come along did fail yesterday, as you can see right here. The strap was actually dry rotted. I've had this thing for years. Really been better to not even use it. But I did use it. I've got an older video I'll throw up where I got one of my older Jeeps stuck a couple years ago in a mud hole, and this come along is actually what got it out. So they are nice to have. Another thing I use are some gloves. I always have some gloves with me, and some duct tape. If you blow a hose or something out there because your vehicle overheats, it's always nice to have a little extra tape on hand. You can tape up some of those hoses, throw some water in there, and then get you back on the road. I always have a little extra oil. A lot of these vehicles, they'll leak a little bit of oil, burn it. It's not any fun to be out there and run low on oil. And of course, a little oil filter. Your straps. I've got a couple of straps that I always carry with me. These are just really nice to have. They're always strong enough to use a come along to get pulled out with. And if you have a real big vehicle, you can use 2 of them. But they're just real lightweight, great things to have. I usually have some paper towels or something with me as well. One of the last things I wanted to go over is when you're out playing off-road, is you want to have a small toolkit. So I've got stuff, up to 12 millimeter. This is just for a real small 1/4 inch little kit. I've had this for years. But it's also nice to have a bag with some wrenches, some socket extensions, and then just some basic sockets that you would use. Wow, the one I used yesterday, it's probably in the Jeep. Yesterday when we were out mudding, in the video where you saw that the Jeep got stuck in the water hole, this serpentine belt slipped off. Either probably because the fan got stuck in the mud, and it just threw the belt off. But I had a socket for that. That's like a 5/8 or 15 millimeter socket, and I was able to put the belt back on. Of course, we were able to run the motor, you know, turn it on and everything, but I had the battery charger hooked up to it. That's the only reason that the truck even ran, was able to crank up. Of course, you don't have any power steering. The alternator's not on if the belt's not there, so you're not charging the battery. So it's real nice just to have a little spare toolkit, you know, with just some specific sizes, like, you know, 5/8 or 15 millimeter, to throw those belts back on if you need to, if it gets thrown off.